Then 1948, and against the odds, the state of Israel emerges. And understand the impact of this on the United States. You have to understand that American Christian evangelists and theologians going back to the colonial era had been predicting that the Bible foretells the return of the Jewish people to the state of Israel as history approaches a climax. You can find in the 17th century, Increase Mather, one of the Boston Puritans, actually wrote a book on this subject. Jonathan Edwards, the most famous American theologian of the 18th century, and before Benjamin Franklin, the best known American intellectual anywhere, also believed that the Bible predicts that this will happen. During the 19th century, Americans believed, both religious and secular, came to believe that if the Jews returned to Palestine and took up farming and lived under a democracy, Palestine would flourish and the Jews would flourish. And this would show the world that the American way of a democratic agricultural society, that had the power to renew the whole world. Americans actually, if you go to the American Colony Hotel in Jerusalem today, this is what's left of an American attempt to persuade the Jews of Israel or the Jews of Palestine to go out and farm. They bought land, they got farm implements, and they were trying to get the Jews of Jerusalem to go out and farm. And I can just sort of hear some of the guys, I don't want to, it's hot out there. I want to stay in here and study Torah. I don't want to go out into the fields. But the point is that when the Jewish and in 1891, an American preacher named William Blackstone got a petition that went to President Benjamin Harriman asking for the U.S. to use its influence in establishing a Jewish state in the lands of the Bible. This petition was signed by John D. Rockefeller, J.P. Morgan, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. So 2 years before Herzl wrote Der Judenstaat, the entire American Gentile establishment, with, I can say, no support from the American Jewish community. A couple of Jews, very unknown Jews, kind of signed it, said, but, not to jeopardize our status in the U.S., very cautious. But the American Gentile establishment was Zionist before the Jewish people. There were a lot of complicated reasons, some religious, some horror at the humanitarian consequences of Russian persecution of the Jews. I think some better have millions of Jews in Palestine than in the United States. A whole range of motives, good and bad. But there it was, and they were not afraid to be in the public record on this. So the American response when they see the Zionist movement picking up among Jews wasn't, oh no, now what do those crazy Jews want to do next? They're going to drag us into no, it was like, oh, finally the Jews have figured it out.